When someone you love tells you you're not enough, it doesn't come in like thunder. It slips in quietly like poison wrapped in silk. That's exactly how it felt when my girlfriend, Melissa, stood in our living room, arms crossed, eyes sharp, and said, "I can't be with someone who has no future." We'd been together 3 years. She'd seen the late nights I spent grinding at my current job, the way I picked up side projects, the way I stretched every dollar so we could travel, eat well, and still build something. But none of that mattered in that moment. I remember blinking at her, trying to process. "No future?" I asked. "Melissa, She cut me off. "You're still at the same company you were when we met. You're too comfortable. You don't push hard enough. I need someone ambitious. Someone who's going somewhere. Can't waste my time with." Her tone was flat, almost rehearsed, like she'd been practicing it in the mirror. I felt the anger rise, but I pushed it down. Instead, I just said, "Okay." That was it. No yelling, no pleading. Just 2 letters, 2 syllables. Like she expected in confusion, like she expected me to beg to prove myself, to fight for her validation. I didn't. She left that night with a toss of her hair and a mumbled, "You'll regret this." What she didn't know was that the very next morning, I had a Zoom call scheduled with a company in London, a company that had already extended me an offer one, I hadn't told her about yet, because I wasn't sure if moving across the ocean was what I wanted. But after she walked out, the decision became crystal clear. I signed the contract before I even had coffee. 6 figures, relocation covered. A fresh start in one of the most exciting cities in the world. By noon, I had a ticket booked. By evening, I'd told my closest friends. They were thrilled for me. One of them suggested throwing a farewell party before I left. I thought about Melissa, about her walking out as if she was stepping up in life while leaving me behind. And I realized something important. Sometimes people mistake quiet determination for stagnation. They don't see the seeds growing beneath the surface until the tree is already there. I didn't block her on social media. I didn't delete our photos. I didn't even send a petty message. I just kept moving forward. But Melissa found out anyway. Because 2 weeks later, my farewell party was plastered all over Instagram and Facebook me, smiling with my friends, holding a pint in one hand, a boarding pass in the other. The caption read, "On to new beginnings. London, here we come." The first call came from an unknown number. I didn't answer. Then a text popped up. "So this is your future, Melissa?" I hadn't heard from her since the night she walked out. No check-ins, no apologies, not even a stray emoji. At 2 a.m. she'd been silent, until my farewell party pictures hit social media. I ignored the message, figuring silence would say more than words ever could, but then my phone lit up again and again. "London, really? 6 figures? You never told me about this? You made me look like a fool." That last one made me laugh out loud. She had left me, dismissed me, told me I had no future, and now I was the one who made her look like a fool. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I clicked her profile. Her usual stream of carefully curated selfies, brunch pictures, and gym shots had slowed. Her last post was a single, vague caption. "Some people aren't who you think they are." The comments were brutal. It was almost painful to watch her facade crumble in real time. Almost. 2 days later, she showed up at my apartment. I'd already started packing boxes stacked by the door. She looked around, eyes wide, as if she couldn't believe I was really leaving. "You're just going to run away?" she demanded, voice tight. "I'm not running," I said calmly. "I'm moving forward." Her lip curled. "You should have told me." I could have. She stopped, realizing what she was about to say. I could have stayed. But she hadn't. She'd chosen to walk out, convinced she was trading up. "You made your choice, Melissa," I said, gesturing toward the half-empty closet, and I made mine. Her bravado cracked then. Her eyes glossed over, her voice wobbling. I thought you needed me." That hit me harder than I expected. For years, she had carried herself like she was the prize, the catch, the one I should be grateful to have. And deep down, I think she believed it. But in that moment, standing in my half-packed living room, it was obvious she wasn't grieving the loss of me. She was grieving the loss of being the one in control. I didn't argue. I didn't gloat. I just said, "Take care of yourself, Melissa." She stood there, silent, before storming out. The slam of the door echoed through the apartment, but this time it didn't sting. Because as much as she wanted to believe otherwise, I wasn't the one being left behind. She was, and she knew it. The night of my farewell party, the rooftop bar buzzed with energy. City lights stretched in every direction, the skyline glowing like a promise of everything waiting for me in London. My friends raised their glasses, laughter spilling over the music. For once I felt light. Free. The company had spared no expense. Champagne flowed, the catering was ridiculous, and people kept clapping me on the back saying things like, "Man, London doesn't know how lucky it is, and 6 figures. Drinks are on you forever." I laughed, played along, but inside, there was this steady hum of relief. I wasn't the guy sitting on the couch being dismissed anymore. I was the guy moving forward, and everyone around me could see it. That's when she walked in. Melissa. Heads turned as she stepped onto the rooftop in a tight black dress, hair perfectly styled, makeup sharp. She wasn't invited. Nobody had told her, but somehow she knew. Conversations hushed. Even the music seemed to dip. She strode toward me, eyes locked, like a missile with a single target. "Well," she said, her voice carrying more than she realized. "This is quite the little send-off." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some people avoided eye contact. Others leaned in, eager for drama. I kept my glass steady. "Melissa, surprised to see you here." Her laugh was brittle. "Surprised, really? You didn't think I'd find out? You're moving across the ocean and didn't even tell me? You ended things?" I said simply. "That's not the point," she snapped, voice rising. "You made me look stupid. Everyone's posting about how amazing you are, how smart you are, how lucky London is. Meanwhile, I look like someone who walked away." I finished for her. The words landed like a punch. A ripple moved through the crowd. People exchanged glances, whispers starting at the edges. Her eyes narrowed, glossed over, mascara already threatening to smudge. "You don't get it?" "Was supposed to." She stopped herself, biting down on the words. I tilted my head. Supposed to what? Be the one who left me? Be the one with the upper hand? A silence fell heavier than any music could fill. Melissa's face crumpled, anger twisting into something rawer, shakier. "You'll regret this," she hissed. But the words lacked conviction. Because in that moment, it wasn't me standing exposed in front of 100 people. It was her. Someone at the back clinked a glass and said loudly, "Two new beginnings." Laughter followed, and suddenly the crowd was toasting again, the spotlight shifting off her. Melissa stood there, trembling, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Finally, she turned and stormed out, the door slamming behind her. And just like that, the party roared back to life. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one being overshadowed. I was the one stepping into the light. Touching down in London felt surreal. The air was damp, the sky gray, but to me, it felt like possibility. My company had arranged a car, and as we drove past rows of brick buildings and iconic landmarks, I felt something I hadn't in years: excitement about the future. The flat they set me up with overlooked the Thames. Sleek, modern, nothing like the cramped apartment Melissa and I once shared. I dropped my bags, stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, and whispered to myself, "This is mine. I built this." The first week at the new office was a whirlwind. Meetings with international clients, handshakes with people who treated me as an equal, not some needy boyfriend holding someone else back. The salary was great, sure, but the respect that was priceless. Back home, the messages started flooding in. Old college friends, coworkers, even acquaintances I barely remembered were DMing me. Saw the posts? "Congrats, man. London looks good on you. We always knew you'd go far." And then there were the messages I didn't respond. 2, Melissa. The first was almost casual. "Hey, can we talk?" Then another, less calm. "I didn't mean what I said. You know that, right?" Then longer ones. Whole paragraphs about how we made sense, how I was overreacting, how she didn't want to throw away 5 years. She even attached old photos of us, smiling on vacations, laughing at dinner parties. As if nostalgia would undo what she'd done. I stared at each message, then locked my phone. London didn't leave me time to look backward. I had dinners with colleagues overlooking the city's skyline. Late-night pub crawls where laughter spilled into cobblestone streets, and quiet Sunday mornings wandering museums alone. And here's the kicker: I loved being alone. Every time I thought of Melissa, I didn't feel loss. I felt lighter. Meanwhile, the updates trickled in. A mutual friend texted me, "Dude, Melissa went off at brunch today. Started crying about your London job." People didn't know what to say. Another message. "She keeps asking why you didn't tell her sooner, like did she forget she dumped you?" I'd sip my coffee, smile, and get back to work. Because while she was unraveling, I was building. While she clung to what could have been, I was living what was. One night after a long day of meetings, I walked along Tower Bridge, the city lights reflecting off the river. The cold air stung my cheeks, but I felt more alive than I ever had back home. And it hit me Melissa hadn't been wrong when she said I'd never find anyone better. She just didn't realize the better wasn't a person. It was me. It had been about a month since I'd settled into London when Melissa escalated. The messages weren't just texts anymore. She started emailing, sending long, rambling letters that swung between nostalgia, anger, and desperation. One morning, I opened my inbox to find a subject line screaming, "I deserve an explanation." The email went on for 3 pages, accusing me of being cold, of betraying her by not telling her about the job sooner, of running away to punish her. I laughed out loud. Punish her? She'd walked out on me, called me a man with no future, and now she was angry I hadn't included her in the future she abandoned. Still, the flood didn't stop there. She called mutual friends, trying to get them to convince me to talk. She messaged my sister, begging for a chance to make things right. She even commented on one of my London photos, writing, "Wish I was there with you like we planned." I ignored it all. But then came the real shocker. One Friday evening, after a long week of back-to-back meetings, I walked out of my building and froze. There, standing by the curb with a suitcase at her feet, was Melissa. She had actually flown to London. Her hair was frizzy from the damp air, her eyes puffy from crying, but she smiled the moment she saw me. Finally, she said, rushing over, "We can talk. I booked a week. We'll figure this out." I didn't smile back. I didn't even move toward her. "Melissa, what are you doing here?" "Fixing us," she said quickly, her voice trembling. "You didn't answer my calls, you wouldn't respond to my messages, so I came. Because I love you, and you love me. You can't just throw that away. The words might have worked on me once. Not now, Melissa," I said quietly. "You already threw it away. Remember, I can't be with someone who has no future." "That's what you said, and I believed you. I let you go." Her smile cracked. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "I was angry. I didn't mean it," she whispered. "I was scared. I thought I was pushing you to be better." I shook my head. "No, you weren't pushing me. You were belittling me. The truth is, I am better now. Not because of you, because I finally stopped waiting for your approval." Her face crumpled, tears streaming as she begged, "Please, just one dinner." "Give me one night to prove, Melissa," I interrupted softly. "This city gave me something you never did. Freedom, confidence, peace. And I won't give that up for someone who didn't believe in me until it was too late." I nodded at her suitcase, hailed a cab, and stepped aside. "You should head to your hotel. London is beautiful. Enjoy it." But without me. The cab pulled away with her inside, and for the first time, I realized the chapter was truly closed. The night of my farewell party felt surreal. My London team had thrown it together after only a few months, saying it was both to celebrate my arrival and to kick off my first big project. The venue was gorgeous. Rooftop terrace, champagne, music, the city skyline glittering around us. I stood there in a tailored suit, a glass in hand, surrounded by people who respected me, who actually valued what I brought to the table. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was trying to prove myself to anyone. A friend snapped a candid photo. Me laughing with colleagues, arm draped casually around Claire, the brilliant project manager who had become my closest friend in London. She was stunning that night, and the chemistry between us was undeniable. Someone tagged me in the post, and within minutes, it was all over social media. I didn't think much of it until my phone buzzed like a wasp nest in my pocket. Dozens of notifications. Melissa? She'd seen the photos. Her first message? "What is this? Who is she?" Then "I can't believe you moved on already, after everything we had." Followed by, "Please, I need to see you. Don't do this to us." For a moment, I just stared at the screen. A few months ago, those words would have wrecked me. I would have questioned myself, doubted my decisions, maybe even caved. But now I felt nothing but clarity. I typed back one message. You told me I had no future. You were wrong. This is my future. And it doesn't include you. I hit send and slipped my phone back into my pocket, turning away from the chaos. Claire tapped my arm. Everything okay? I smiled. Yeah, everything's perfect. Melissa didn't reply after that, at least not directly. I heard later from a mutual friend that she'd melted down when the photos spread. Apparently, she'd stormed out of her favorite restaurant, the one we used, to go to together, after seeing me laughing on her phone screen. She cried to anyone who would listen that she'd lost the best thing that ever happened to her. Maybe I was, but she'd never know for sure. As the night wound down, I leaned on the balcony railing, looking out over London's glowing skyline. A city I once thought was out of reach was now the backdrop of my life. I'd gone from being dismissed in my own living room to being celebrated on a rooftop halfway across the world. Melissa's words echoed faintly in my mind. You'll never make it without me. I smiled, raising my glass to the city below. Turns out I made it because you let me go. And just like that, the final string tying me to her snapped. I was free not just from her, but from the version of myself who believed I wasn't enough. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.